Hi, today I'm going to be showing you how to replace a screen on an HP 2000 laptop. As you can see, I've already removed the battery and I'm all ready to go. The only tools you should really need is the replacement screen, and I've got this nice toolkit here, but all you need is a small Phillips screwdriver and either a flathead screwdriver or an X-Acto knife, something like that, just with a very thin edge on it. So let's go ahead and get started. Next, all you're going to do is remove this tiny little corner sticker piece there. You can see it at the top, little circle, and there are two of those. So as you can see, the other one right there, they're both in the bottom corner. I have turned on the light on my camera here, so I'm going to attempt to show you how to get it out of there. You're just going to use, I just have like a knife here. You're going to kind of go into the corner and try and peel it out. And it's just kind of like a sticker. So as you can see, I've gotten it out of there, and you can see the screw. And we're just going to go ahead and unscrew both of those. All right, and I have removed both of those screws. Hopefully you can kind of see that in there. Both of those screws are out now, and so we can move on to the next part. Now all we're going to do is actually just kind of peel this up a little bit, and we're going to need to peel that all the way out and around here. So all we're going to do is just kind of use your fingers. I wouldn't recommend using a tool because you can break the screen pretty easily, but you're just going to kind of pry this away from the screen. And it is just another adhesive on there, so it should come off relatively easily. So what we're going to do is just kind of start. I like to start at the top up here. You can start really anywhere. You just want to make sure that you're not pulling too hard on it. So I'm just going to kind of grab it, and you can hear it pop. That's releasing all along here now. Like I said, you don't want to pull too hard, but you're just kind of peeling up a little bit just to separate it. And you can see along here that it is separating from the screen itself. So you just kind of want to work your way around the corners here. I'm going to go ahead and set down the camera so that I can do this. I'll show you when I get finished. So as you can see, I've already separated it all the way out and around here. And the only areas that do not pop out is right along these hinges here. They're still a little tougher to pull out of there. As you can see there. So you can actually pull it out if you are careful enough. These actually just come straight out. As you can see, there's no clips or anything around it. It's just a little bit tough. So you just pull straight out on it and it will come off. And as you can see, it's completely off of there. So now all you're going to need to do is remove these screws down here. In the corner, there's two of them. On each bottom corner, there's two there. And there's one at the top in each corner. And we're just going to go ahead and remove those. All right, so I've already removed all of the screws that we've needed in order to get it out of there. And as you can see, it now will allow you to kind of tilt it out and away from the back of the screen there. And that's really all you need. Don't worry that it's not going to come out all the way. In this specific model, you actually have this little hinge down here, and there's a screw that's kind of behind it. So it's a little annoying to actually remove the entire back of it, but you really don't need to get to that last little screw down there. Like I said, this will flex out enough to where you can get to these screws. So on either side of the screen here, you can see there's one screw there, and you got another one a little bit further up, and then you have another one at the very top up here. So you have 3 screws total to remove on each side of the screen, and you've got these 3 over here as well. So you just need to remove those 3, and this screen will actually lean forward. So the next step, as you can see, I've already separated the screen from the little metal bars here on both sides. and we can actually lean the screen forward. Now you'll quickly see this flat wire here. We're going to need to disconnect that. That is actually for the webcam. So you're going to just kind of grab this little white piece underneath here. Now it will have this little flap on here, so you might have to kind of pull that forward so that you can see it. You're just going to go in here and pull down on this little white part until it disconnects, just like that. And what that's going to allow you to do is actually lean the whole screen forward. And down here, you're also going to have this wire that is attached, so you want to be careful because that is on there with adhesive. So what you're going to want to do is actually remove this part. And this part, again, you're going to have a little bit of adhesive underneath here. So you just kind of want to pry that up. Be careful not to actually rip anything. Go. And this part will actually just pop right out of there, just like that. And so there is another piece of tape on here on the top part. I'm going to kind of separate that. And voila. Now these teeth on here are very, very sensitive. They're very tiny. And you want to make sure that when you pull it out of there, if at all possible, you actually want to pull kind of downward away from it. Like that. Mine actually came out very easily, and so I kind of got lucky on that, but you just want to make sure that you undo all of this tape along here and try not to rip any of it, because you're going to need it for the new screen. So all we're going to do now is remove the rest of the adhesive from over here on this cable. And we can remove it from here as well. That cable is going to stay. And we can take the entire screen off of there, as you can see. So now we just need the new screen. And we'll just bring it over here and lay it on top. I usually keep the protective film across it, keep it on there until you get done. That way you're not putting too many fingerprints and that kind of stuff on there. So we're going to lay this cord back out, maybe move it into position a little bit, and kind of re-stick it as best we can. Kind of like that. Doesn't really matter for the positioning on these. So now this part, again, those teeth are very, very fine, so you're going to kind of line it up here as best you can. And you want to put it straight in. You want to make sure that you have a good connection here. If I can do this one-handed. There we go. You can see it actually seating inside of there. So hopefully you can tell it's actually on the inside there. You can't see any more of the teeth. That means that you have a good secure connection. This should not come right out like it did before, so that should be kind of in there a little bit, and then the adhesive helps with that. This little tape. So you want to make sure that the tape is on there really good on both sides. Now what I like to do at this point is actually get a piece of Scotch tape or something and lay it across the top and the bottom down here. That's not something that you have to do, but it does help to make sure that this does not come loose. Because if it does come loose later on, your screen will turn back off. So you need to come across here now, and you're going to have to put this wire back into place. It doesn't pop in there or anything like that, but you can see that there's like little plastic pieces in here that help it kind of guide in there so it doesn't get pinched. And then we're just going to lift the screen back up, put it back into place. So my screen protector's fallen off. There. So now that it's in place, we're just going to need that cable for the webcam. And again, we're just going to take this and push the little white piece and put it straight up inside of here. So now that I've got the webcam reconnected, we're ready to go ahead and reconnect the screen onto the side here. And again, you just want to put those 3 screws back on all 3, or on both sides here. So you just need all 3 of those screws. And then I'm also going to put these screws back, the ones in the upper corners here, and the ones in the lower corners. Remember, there's 2 of them here, and there's 2 of them here, and then just 1 in the upper corners here. And I also want to say now is probably a good time, if you still have your screen protector on here, you're probably going to have to remove it, because a lot of times this tape actually wraps around the back of the screen. So if you do this next step with the tape on there, you're going to have a little bit more trouble trying to remove that. So you're going to have to remove this now. Just try not to touch this too much, because when you go to put the border back on it and you got fingerprints halfway underneath it, that makes it a little bit difficult to clean. Now, when you go to put these screws back in, now remember that this far screw over here, this is actually for the cover that goes along here. So you do not want to put one of the screws in there. Remember that the 2 of them that you're supposed to put in is kind of this one here and this one here. All right, so now that I've got the screws back in all corners here, I'm going to put the frame back on. And again, these darn little hinges down here can be a little bit annoying. You just kind of have to work it into place. I have found out that if you kind of put this more vertically, if you put the screen more vertically, it can kind of fit in there a little bit better. So again, you just kind of have to work it in there on both sides. And then you're just going to kind of pinch the corners all the way around it. You can hear everything snapping back into place. Don't worry if not all of them snap right away. Sometimes some have to snap before others will. Just kind of work your way around it. All right. That sounds pretty good. And then this bottom part is going to be a little bit more difficult. So what I recommend is actually closing it and view it from the bottom side. See, you can see that there's like this gap along here. Obviously that is not on there. These little hinges, if you push on them, they will pop up. So if you see it like this already, to where it already has popped up, you can just kind of push that down and snap that into place. And that will be secure there. For this part, I basically just recommend just kind of squeezing all of this together. As you can see, it's not snapping for me right now. I usually recommend using a tool of some kind, again, your flat edge or something, and kind of put it down in there to brace it from the bottom. You definitely don't want to push too hard on here, because as you can see, there's a little bit of space down here, so you don't want to, again, break your screen. So put a little tool down in there and kind of hold it in place, and a lot of times you can just kind of pinch this all together. And again, make sure that you also get your corners here and make sure that those snap together as well. So I have popped all of this into place, and I'm just kind of showing you what it should look like. Notice that there's no gap right there, and all of this is very nicely sealed. And it's like that kind of on both sides here. Again, I just kind of put a tool down in there and, you know, pushed from both sides, and that's what snaps it into place, and you can push all along there. So now that that is done, we can open it back up. And we just basically need to put in a screw on both sides again here, here and there. And then we've got our little stickers that cover those screw holes, and we can just kind of stick those back on top. They don't really do anything. They're just kind of cosmetic. So if they do fall off, or if they don't have enough adhesive to hold it on there, just don't worry about it. But this is our last step, and that is how you change out the screen on an HP 2000 laptop.